Hello? Yes, my name is Stanislav, and my question to Vani. On your slide, there was a paper trail. Is it figure of speech, or you indeed need paper?
That's a great question, and no, it's electronic paper, yeah.
Right. But then if it comes to electronic, it has to have all attributes to be data integrity and stuff.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for the awesome presentation. My name is Mariel from Chimera Labs. This is for Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee, how your committee, the emergency technology, is related to the de novo applications? Are they related somehow? Is
Your question a little bit more.
Is normally for the new technologies, in case that could be ELISA kits or medical technology or equipment, you go through a de novo application because it's something that is not related before. Then is emergency technology committee taking care of that side too? Yes.
It's a CDRH program,
It's a
sorry.
CDR,
Yeah, so
yeah.
this is a CDER.
This is CEDA. Okay.
Okay. Thank
Sorry,
you.
my apology. I just get a
No,
little
no
bit
problem. That's what I wanted to know if they were related
Okay.
or not. Thank you.
All right, and again, any other questions? Come on up to the microphones, but let's take our first online question, please.
Hello. All right. So our first question is, what is the batch size concept and determination in the case of continuous manufacturing of pharmaceutical products?
So,
Sorry, we may be getting interference.
Sorry, the question is about batch size definition in continuous manufacturing. And for continuous manufacturing, batch size definition is, the batch size itself can be flexible because of the nature of continuous manufacturing. So depending on, for example, if you're doing it as a function of time, depending on the runtime, you can have batches of different sizes. But the important thing about batch definition is that it has to be defined a priori, so you need to know first, you need to decide what the batch size is going to be before before operation. And at the same time, you have to ensure that the batch or the product that is collected during operation is collected when the process is in a state of control. So you have to define what it means, what the state of control means for your process, and when is it out of control, and that decides when you're going to be collecting or diverting product, for example. I hope that answers your question.
And since it's an online question, it did. And again, in the room, if you have any questions, come on up to the microphone. But Lisa, let's go ahead and go with our next online question.
All right. Our second question is, how should we address the concerns of cleaning requirements in continuous manufacturing? Could you please discuss or share some insights and practical scenarios?
So a lot of, there are very similar principles for cleaning for batch manufacturing versus and continuous manufacturing. There certainly are, there's unique equipment. CM also tends to have smaller equipment. And so there are just it's important to consider these factors before, during the design of the equipment and whatnot. So it really has very similar principles. This is one of the reasons why there's a little bit of text in the continuous manufacturing draft guidance, but not a lot, because it is very similar to batch manufacturing. There were also some comments in the draft guidance around potentially using single-use systems as well, and so that would also have cleaning special consideration or less considerations, but then other different considerations, of course. So yeah, the principles are very similar to batch manufacturing.
Okay. Next online question, please.
This question is for Dr. Lee. At times, drug development involves both CDER and SBIA. Does the emerging technology team collaborate with SBIA when the situation arises? If you could provide some examples, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I think if like they cut across the technology, that is interest to both center. We probably will meet together and then to make sure like our thinking is aligned and share our knowledge with each other. But I'm not I don't think I'm going to provide any example here.
All right. And again, any questions in the room? The online people are really outperforming the in-person people here when it comes to the questions. Let's go with our next online question, please.
Could you provide some examples of policy considerations for continuous manufacturing that are not currently addressed by the current guidelines?
Which guideline? I think it's an FDA guideline, is it?
Yes.
Oh, I thought the guideline is perfect, but I'm just kidding. No, I think there's definitely, I think, feel free to chime in, Tara and Rapti. I think some of the concept may be certain, like for continuous process verification, as well as how this actually related to performance-based approach, which described in Q12. I think those things could be, is not clearly articulated in the current FDA guidelines. The reason is that because some of these topics may need like a little bit more discussion broadly in public as well as within Q13 and also within our FDA. So I think that's why we have not included those discussions in our current guideline.
And I also think that one of the areas that I mentioned, the policy. Different challenges to the pharmaceutical quality system, and this was something that was identified in the docket comment that is more valuable, and that might be another area to flesh out a little bit more. I think we have a lot of existing policy, and a lot of the practices are very similar to batch manufacturing, but it does sound like there's some questions around how this applies itself in a CM environment.
Also want to add one more comment. Our guideline is not directly applicable to biological product at this moment, but I think that I believe the Q13 will address this aspect. So.
All right. One more online question. Okay. Thank you, Lisa.
Could you discuss some of the similarities and differences between continuous manufacturing for drug product and drug substances?
There are concepts like the system dynamics, the residence time distributions. All of these are common principles which form the foundation of a continuous manufacturing process. System dynamics, residence time distributions, how material traceability, when you reject non-conforming material, how you establish the right amount to reject when and where. Those kinds of things are pretty much common across all different types of continuous processes. Those are things I can think of that come to my mind. And things like real-time monitoring of product quality. The tools may be different, but the concepts are still the same.
So I could just add for drug product that there are typically multiple components in the formulation. It's not just a single component. And some of those may be important for the performance of the drug product. So in a continuous manufacturing environment, it would be important to ensure accurate and precise feeding of those components to make sure that they are able to perform the function that they were designed for in the formulation. For example, disintegrants that would be necessary for ensuring adequate drug product release, for example. Those types of functional excipients may be also important in continuous manufacturing for drug product.
For continuous manufacturing for drug substance, we need to consider, the reaction, the synthesis of the actual drug substance, including starting materials and intermediate controls, and any workups that happen in between reactions to get us to that final drug substance. So there's a little bit of stuff that we have to consider there as well.
Okay, and I'm not seeing any other questions in the room. Are there any other questions online? No? Okay. That just means that our panel did an outstanding job during their presentations. Please help me thank our panel. And we can also thank our panel for giving us a longer break to do additional network.